Hi, this is Dr. Gregory Sadler. I'm a professor of philosophy and the president and founder of an educational consulting company called Reason.io, where we put philosophy into practice. I've studied and taught philosophy for over 20 years, and I find that many people run into difficulties reading classic philosophical texts. Sometimes it's the way things are said or how the text is structured. But the concepts themselves are not always that complicated, and that's where I come in. To help students and lifelong learners, I've been producing longer lecture videos and posting them to YouTube. Many viewers say they find them useful. What you're currently watching is part of a new series of shorter videos, each of them focused on one core concept from an important philosophical text. I hope you find it useful as well. Judith Jarvis Thomson, in her piece, The Trolley Problem, is going to consider a number of different problems, not just the trolley problem, but a number of cases, some of which differ from each other in seemingly minor ways, but which are designed to get us to think about what makes something wrong or morally permissible. And all of these revolve around some sort of dilemma where the life of one person is being weighed off against the life of 5, and we, as the agent, have to make some sort of decision. Now she's, you could say, inheriting 3 basic cases from Philippa Foot's earlier article, The Problem of Abortion and the Doctrine of Double Effect, who she lifts a lot of these from. But she's going to transform some of them in the process in very interesting ways. And I should point out here that what we nowadays typically call the trolley problem is in fact not Philippa Foot's original formulation of the trolley problem, but actually what is termed in this article the bystander at the switch, sometimes with the variant of the fat man. So that's come to take on, you might say, a life of its own and to, in some respects, replace the original trolley problem. Let's talk about Foot's cases first. So the trolley driver is the person who originally has to choose between going down the track where there are 5 workmen on the track who will not be able to get away, or taking a right turn, which will then allow them to go onto another section of track where there's only 1 workman. They will either kill 5 people or 1 person, depending on what they do. And there's no way of getting out of this. The trolley brakes are not working, and so it's unavoidable that you're going to have 1 or 5 people die. So that's the original variant of that. Transplant has to do with a hospital where you have a surgeon who, for the purposes of the experiment, the thought experiment, has a complete, 100% track record when it comes to transplanting organs. The surgeon has 5 people who need organ transplants, and there are no organs for them until close to the end of the day when a young man appears for his checkup, and he's in great health. He would be a perfect donor. Is it okay to put that young man under anesthesia and take his organs out, killing him in the process, in order to save the lives of the 5 who need organ transplants? Then Foot also, a little bit later in the article, Thompson brings this up, has another case. And this one's called by Thompson Hospital. In the hospital, there are patients, here we go. There are 5 patients in a hospital whose lives could be saved by the manufacture of a certain gas. But this will inevitably release lethal fumes into the room of another patient whom, for some reason, we are unable to move. So once again, trading 5 against 1, and this is kind of an issue. So with each of these cases, Thompson is going to give us some very interesting variations. Obviously, bystander at the switch, we've already mentioned. In this case, the trolley problem is no longer that you are the driver of the trolley. In this case, you're actually a bystander. You're somebody who's unrelated to the trolley company whatsoever, and you're walking along and you see the trolley out of control, careening towards 5 people on the tracks. You see that the switch, there's a switch that would shunt it off onto another track where 1 person is, and we see this oftentimes drawn with 5 people tied to one track, 1 person tied to another track, and a little stick figure person there at the switch. And the question is, do you throw the switch? This is, as Thompson has pointed out, somewhat different than the original trolley problem in that it really does highlight the killing 1 versus allowing 5 to die, rather than killing 1 versus killing 5. She talks about 2 interesting variations of this. One is in talking about moral risk. She says, wait a second, what if the 5 workmen are actually not workmen, but mafia thugs, and they have tied the other 1 person to the switch, or to the track, rather, and you are being, in some respect, misled. They actually want you to run over the 1 person to save the 5 who they are. But in many respects, they're not worthy of being saved. It might be better for society if you actually did run over the mafioso, right? And that's kind of like the villain variance that we're going to look at towards the end of this. But the villains themselves are being put at risk, because if you don't do it, and you're like, I'm not going to intervene here, it kills them. Another that's much more, I would say, interesting involves a mayor. And a mayor who gets himself or herself in a lot of kind of a sticky situation. Here we go. The 5 on the straight track are regular track workmen. The right-hand track is a dead end, unused in 10 years. The mayor, representing the city, has set out picnic tables on it and invited the convalescents at the nearby city hospital to have their meals there, guaranteeing them that no trolleys will ever, for any reason, be turned onto that track. The one on the right-hand track is a convalescent having his lunch there. It would never have occurred to him to do so if the mayor had not issued his invitation and guarantee. The mayor was out for a walk. He now stands by the switch. Quite a dilemma there, isn't it? And it's produced in part because not just of the configuration of the tracks and all that, but because that person is only there due to the mayor having made a promise about the safety. Does the mayor then have an additional requirement not to throw the switch? There's also the loop variant that Foote brings up, and she says this actually doesn't change much of anything. Instead of the tracks diverging forever, there's a loop. So you're going to either crush 1 person who's a big fat person who will stop the train, or 5 thin people who their combined mass will stop the trolley as well. And so in a way, the loop doesn't make that big of a difference. But Foote says, some people actually do look at that variant differently. The fat man has drawn a lot of interesting commentary. In this case, the variant is you don't throw a switch. You are on a bridge and there is a fat man, very fat man, so fat that were he to fall onto the tracks, he would in fact stop the trolley from rolling over the 5 other people. You see him leaning over, all you'd really need to do is give him a little push, and he would fall, perhaps screaming, frightened, onto the tracks where he would be hit by the trolley, but would stop the trolley. Is it morally permissible for you to do that? This is a little bit different than just throwing a switch, isn't it? Although the question is, well, why is it different? She goes so far with the fat man as to sketch out a couple other variants. Maybe you don't even have to push him. Maybe the railing that he's leaning on is pretty wiggly, pretty weak, and all you have to do is nudge the railing a little bit, and he will then fall over. You're not intervening directly. You're merely taking away a safety device that that fat person is relying upon. Is that then permissible, or does that remain a wrong action for you to engage in? So those are a lot of interesting trolley problems. You notice that there's differences between them. There are myriad more sketched out by others after Thompson. Let's talk about transplant, though. There's another really interesting set of considerations that she adds to transplant. And she says that, what if, instead of it just being the same situation that Foote has sketched out, these people are sick and they need organ transplants because of something the surgeon did. The surgeon was badly overworked last fall, and the surgeon had to take over duties dispensing drugs. While being particularly tired, he became careless and made the terrible mistake of dispensing chemical X to 5 of the day's patients. It works differently in different people. In some it causes lung failure, in others kidney, in others heart. So these 5 patients who now need parts need them because of the surgeon's carelessness. Does that change the situation at all? Now he's, in effect, having killed them through his screw-up, and maybe he can set that right by killing the young man, taking his organs, and distributing them to these other people. She says, we could imagine it to have been even worse. Maybe the surgeon was badly overextended financially last fall. He had known he was named a beneficiary in his 5 patients' wills, and it swept over him one day to give them chemical X to kill them. Now he repents and would save them if he could. Does that change the situation at all? So those are some pretty fascinating sub-cases to consider. What about hospital? So in the hospital case, what we had was, you remember Philippa Foote had said, you've got a gas that's going to be manufactured, but the fumes of it would unfortunately kill 1 person, even though the gas is going to save 5. And Thompson says, it wouldn't be permissible for us to manufacture that gas, but what if we have a variant? All 6 patients are convalescing. The 5 at risk are at risk not from their ailments, but from the sealing of the room. We can prevent this by pumping in a sealing support mechanism, but doing so will release lethal fumes into the room of the 6th. Is it okay to sacrifice the 6th person to keep the ceiling from falling in on these people? She brings up another case. Contrast a case in which lethal fumes are being released by the heating system in the basement of a building next door to the hospital. They're heading towards the room of 5 people. We can deflect them towards the room of 1. Would that be permissible? Are those the same as the original hospital case, or are they vitally different? The last thing that she considers towards the very end is, well, what if we have a villain who is involved in this? What if the trolley problem is created because somebody actually did tie people to the tracks and says, now you deal with it, right? Or what if they are the person who created the hospital situation? And we can imagine myriad more. Does this significantly change the moral scope and the possible solutions of these problems? Here we don't actually have to say yes or no about any of these. We're just laying out the full range of these variations that Thompson herself has thought worth putting in front of us to think about.